Hi, Amparo. Hi, Amparo. Can you hear me?
Hi, teacher. Where were you? I was the first here.
Because
I said, what happened?
what happened was I started the class and then my microphone wasn't working. So I had to restart my Chrome, my browser. And so now I'm back. But then you were here. So
Yeah. I said, oh, what happened? I made a mistake. It is not a class.
no, no, you're there. Okay, so yeah, everybody should be showing up here pretty soon. So hi, everybody. Welcome to class. We are going to get started. This is going to be a listening class, and I'm standing up, so trying not to sit down all day. So I'm going to be reading some actual short news stories. So instead of listening to a video on YouTube, sometimes people have trouble with that. So I figured we would switch it up a little bit today, and I'll do some reading out loud, and you guys will do listening, and then I'm going to ask some questions, and we can talk about what you heard and that type of thing. So if you have a reservation for this hour, of course, you can go ahead and use it now. In a minute or so, the join class button will be available for everybody. So hi, guys. Hi. Welcome, Mauricio. How are you?
Hello, good, and you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. And hi, Monica. How are you?
Hi, I'm pretty well, thank you.
Okay, great. Hi, Hamid.
Hello.
You still have your Einstein Valentine.
Yes. He gives me inspirations.
Oh, he does. Okay, good. Well,
Hamid,
you know,
what?
you weren't here the other day when we were reading inventors.
I was about to say the same.
Did you have you ever heard that Einstein was a sex maniac?
Maybe it is certain to show his tongue to others.
Yes, exactly that too. Well, that was one of the things we read about, huh, Amparo, in that article about the inventors who stole other people's ideas without giving them credit for the ideas. Okay, it was a good article. Elias, hi, Elias, how are you? Elias, are you there? Might still be loading. Let's see. Santo Domingo. Hi, Elias. And hi, Elena.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Just waiting for people to join here. So I don't want to start until we have everybody. And I just want to say hi to everybody to make sure the microphones are working. Hi, Edgardo.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Hi,
I'm great,
teacher.
thank you.
Okay, good. Hi, Elias. How are you?
I'm fine today. And you, teacher?
I'm doing well, thanks. Good. Glad to have
Okay.
you in class. And Anna, welcome, Anna.
Hello, Lisa. Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
Okay, so this hour is a listening class, so for you guys to practice listening. For the last couple of weeks, we've been doing some different types of listening, watching some videos. We were listening to some songs, trying to figure out what the lyrics mean. But today I decided to do some reading myself. Might not be a good idea for me because my voice is not back to normal still. I hope it gets back to normal someday, but anyways, I'm going to do some reading. I'm going to do some reading of some short news items. And so your job is to just relax and to listen. And then try, you could take notes if you want to. You could just relax and listen. And then I'm going to ask some questions. Maybe I might ask somebody to tell me what you heard. Tell me what it was about. I might ask specific questions like who did this or what was the amount of this or something specific. So just pay attention and try to understand as much as you can. If you hear something, you hear the word but you're not really sure, you could ask me when I'm done reading, you could ask me, what did that mean, or I'm not really sure. So we're going to go over it, and after I'm done reading it, I'll give you the link so you can actually look at what I read, so that way it helps you. Maybe you didn't hear some words, but you can read them when you see them. Okay, so we lost Elena, I guess, and Adrian came in. Hi, Adrian. All right. So if we're losing people, if you want to come back in, you can try to come back in. There might be other people waiting to come in, so you might lose your spot. Sometimes people drop out because of poor connection, or something happens, a slowdown in your connection or something. But as long as there's room, you can always come back in. If you see the join class button, just click on it again, and you can rejoin the class. Okay, so hi there, Antonio. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to get started here. I'm going to, Elena's back. Good. Okay, so I'm going to read, and all you have to do is relax and listen. I am going to tell you the title, and I will put the title. My Verbling chat's not working, so let's use the group chat, the Google chat. You can open it by going to your left side of your screen, and the blue icon with the white lines, if you just click on that, that opens on the right the group chat, and that's where I'm going to put the title. Okay, so let's see. It's called Paris Halts, Filming of Action Movies After Terror Attacks. So the word halts means stops. So to halt means to stop. So that's an important word there in the title. Paris halts or stops filming of action movies after terror attacks. So you get the basic idea about the article just by the title. So listen, and then let's see if we can understand what they're talking about. Authorities in Paris have halted the filming of scenes from action movies on its streets in the wake of the recent terror attacks. The city is still on high alert following the attack on the magazine Charlie Hebdo and other attacks, which left 20 people dead. Security has been heightened around synagogues, newspaper and broadcasting offices, and shopping malls. Armed police and soldiers are clearly visible on the streets. Security measures have now been extended to the movie industry. Paris's police commander, Sylvie Barneau, said, "There's a problem with these action-type scenes, as the actors in uniform could be targets for terrorists. Also, the actors could pose confusion for the general public." Ms. Barneau said she did not know how long the ban would last, but feels the time is not right for car chases, fake weapons, and pyrotechnics. She said, "I was shocked to hear witnesses of the Charlie Hebdo attacks say on television that it seemed like a movie shoot. One French movie insider said the new restrictions could have an impact on big American productions. She said, "It's not the right moment to do it. Even if Steven Spielberg wanted to film a big scene with police and a shootout in the streets, I'm sure it would not have got made." Paris is hosting the annual Film Set Fair this week, hoping to attract big productions. Filmmakers are worried the restrictions could reduce the number of movies filmed in Paris. Okay, all right, let's see. Anybody want to volunteer? Or I can choose people. What was this about? Just tell me in general what you could understand.
Well, that the number of films of action in Paris is going to be reduced because they think that it's not the right moment to do it. Because the people is still afraid about the events that they were suffering. And it could be the actors or the people that is working there, the police, it would be target for any other attack. And because of the 20 people who dies in different events and shootings recently.
Okay.
And even
Does anybody have anything else to add? Something else you heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She said that some witnesses said that the past before attacks seems like a film sense
Mm-hmm.
something
Yes.
like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, that's what she said. So she's talking about the police commander of Paris. Paris is police commander, and the sentence that I read, I'll put up in the chat here, says that she said, "I was shocked. I was shocked, astonished, amazed to hear witnesses of the Charlie Hebdo. Witnesses are people who see what's happening. So people who were watching these attacks, the Charlie Hebdo attacks, that was the journal, the newspaper that does those cartoons. When that was happening, the witnesses were thinking that it was just like a movie. They didn't think it was actually real. So a movie shoot, if you're not familiar with that term, the shoot is like when you shoot the scene, when you film the scene. So when we're talking about making movies, we talk about filming a scene or shooting a scene. So it kind of uses that same vocabulary of shooting, like a person or something like that. But in this case, they just didn't even know that it was really happening. Then maybe they thought it was just some kind of action movie that was being filmed. So yeah, good. You heard that. Let's see. Let me see. I think Amparo, you pretty much got most of the things, the main points there. What did you guys hear the last part? What is happening in Paris this week? What kind of event is taking place?
They're hosting a fair of movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called, I guess, the annual, which means it happens every year. Film set fair. So that might be a new term also for related to films. The set is like where you set the scene. So the set could involve buildings, people, animals, whatever you need in the scene. That's called the set. So a film set is where does the film take place? So for example, Paris is a common place to have like action movie scenes, people driving cars, running around, the Eiffel Tower has been in lots of movies, that type of thing. So cities around the world host these types of things because they like to attract. So Elena, do you know what it means? Why do they want to attract big productions? Understand that?
Sorry, no, can you repeat?
Yeah, I just want to I'm just checking for understanding here. To attract big productions, where it says Paris is hosting.
Yes.
Yeah. What do they want? What does that mean?
Film industry in France is very powerful, and not just because their own productions, but also because they can attract, they can make other people from other countries go there to film, because Paris is a very attractive city, of course.
Yes, exactly. So normally this is a way that cities can make money. If you're shooting a film in your city, that brings in a lot of people. So the hotel industry makes money. The restaurants make money. They might have to purchase a permit or something like that to use the streets and to close them off. So, a big production, like a big movie, like, the Avengers or something like that, a big Hollywood movie, brings a lot of money to towns. So that's another reason. So some people are concerned about this idea of banning and restricting. Okay, does anybody have any questions about this? I'm going to read it one more time, and then as I read it, though, I'm going to give you guys the link. So this time, as I'm reading it, you'll be able to, I'm going to show it too. Then you'll be able to maybe see what you didn't understand before. Okay, so I'll read a little faster too. Authorities in Paris have halted the filming of scenes from action movies on its streets in the wake of the recent terror attacks. The city is still on high alert following the attack on the magazine Charlie Hebdo and other attacks which left 20 people dead. Security has been heightened around synagogues, newspaper, and broadcasting offices and shopping malls. Armed police and soldiers are clearly visible on the streets. Security measures have now been extended to the movie industry. Paris's police commander Sylvie Barneau said there's a problem with these action-type scenes, as the actors in uniform could be targets for terrorists. Also, the actors could pose confusion for the general public. Ms. Barneau said she did not know how long the ban would last, but feels the time is not right for car chases, fake weapons, and pyrotechnics. She said, "I was shocked to hear witnesses of the Charlie Hebdo attacks say on television that it seemed like a movie shoot." One French movie insider said the new restrictions could have an impact on big American productions. She said it's not the right moment to do it. Even if Steven Spielberg wanted to film a big scene with police and a shootout in the streets, I'm sure it would not have got made. Paris is hosting the annual Film Set Fair this week, hoping to attract big productions. Filmmakers are worried the restrictions could reduce the number of movies filmed in Paris. Okay. Now I just want, hi Sergey. I just want to go over a couple things to make sure you guys understand the vocabulary. Synagogues, do you guys know synagogues? Those would be like the Jewish church. We have Catholic churches, Muslim mosques, and Jewish synagogues. So that's one place, because some of the people who died were at the Jewish kosher grocery store, I guess. Kosher. Okay, so let's see. Any other words you want me to go over? I wanted to know if you know pyrotechnics. You guys know that word? Anybody?
Fireworks?
No?
Fireworks?
Okay, this is when you blow stuff up. So in a movie, the pyrotechnics is the stuff that has to deal with fire and bombs and things like that. So the time is not right for car chases. That's up where maybe the police are chasing the bad guys or something like that, and they're driving through the city crazy, making other cars crash and stuff. Fake weapons. So it's not a good idea right now in a lot of places around the world to try to have fake weapons. You might have heard that in the United States recently, even children have been shot because they were using fake weapons, but the police thought they were real. So not a good idea. And then the bombings and stuff, the fire, all the action scenes that include car crashes and fire. That's pyrotechnics. Okay, let's see, restrictions. Okay, so yeah, a shootout in the streets. So that's kind of what people thought was happening with the real attacks, is that maybe it was just some kind of movie scene. There was some kind of shootout with these guys coming in, because we do make movies with this type of action. So especially nowadays with terrorist movies and things like that. So yeah. All right, so they're worried that it may reduce. Okay. All right, let me just hear from some people. What do you think? Is that a good idea, Anna, to restrict this kind of filming?
Sure. In the week during the chat about attacks, sure, yeah. It's important because it's easy for the police to control all the city. Mm-hmm. But after that, it's better to remove the restriction for the industry, film industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mauricio, do you think it could be confusing to people, especially now when people maybe are afraid that if they see some kind of, even if it's fake, they might get scared? Do you think that's possible?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think for respect and for now is better don't make films in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The article is right.
Uh-huh.
Is right. Yeah.
Yeah. the ban. We could say that it's a good idea to ban them. Yeah, the question is for how long? Sure, because Hamid, you're saying that the restrictions affect something else. What do you mean?
I mean, for example, if someone wants to go to Paris as a tourist, they can be afraid of some reasons. So it affects tourism as well.
Yeah, sometimes we don't necessarily think about all the different things that a city is, dealing with, but certainly one thing affects another thing, That kind of, we say it's a domino effect. So
yes, also it is a making up a perception on people.
How? What do you mean?
I mean, for example, they can direct to us. If you come to Paris, you can see terrorists. So this time, Paris is a dangerous place, like a building area. Don't disturb us.
So are you saying that the ban will help to make sure that that doesn't happen more, so that people feel unsafe if they go to Paris? Like a tourist, if you're thinking about going to Paris, you don't want to have to feel unsafe.
Generally, it is a bad impact on people.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, before I go to the next one, I just want to check, does anybody want me to explain any of the words here that you might not understand or how it's being used? Okay. I think, does everybody understand the basic idea? So, listening obviously is super important, especially it's an important part of like any kind of English proficiency exam or something, and usually you have to listen to something like this, somebody reading something or giving a lecture or something like that, and then be able to pick out some of the main ideas and points and then also maybe respond to it. So that's kind of what we're practicing here. But it's also a good idea just in terms of listening. If you're listening to the news and then you want to be able to tell somebody what it was about, what you just heard, that's a good practice as well to kind of summarize what you heard. Okay, I'm going to go to another one here, so I'm not going to share it yet, so you just have to listen. Okay, here's another one. It's called Britain Says Yes to 3-Parent Babies. So again, there's the title, and we have an idea. So we're talking about, this is happening in England, talking about babies and 3 parents. Usually you have 2 parents. So what is this about? Let's listen. Okay. Lawmakers in the UK have voted to allow doctors to create babies from the DNA of 3 different people. It will be the first country in the world to do this. There was a vote in Britain's Parliament where 382 lawmakers voted for allowing 3-person babies, and 128 voted against the idea. The idea behind 3-person babies is to stop diseases being passed from a mother to her newborn baby. Doctors say that as many as 150 babies a year could be born using the new technique. The first baby to be born using the DNA from 3 people could be as early as next year. The technique will help families with mitochondrial diseases. These are incurable and affect about 1 in 6,500 children worldwide. The technique is quite simple. It combines the DNA of the 2 parents with the DNA of another woman. Doctors replace the unhealthy, disease-carrying DNA in the mother's egg with healthy DNA from the donor. The result is that the baby receives about 0.1% of its DNA from the donor woman. Lawmakers said the technique was light at the end of a dark tunnel for many families. Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron said, "We're not playing God here. We're just making sure that 2 parents who want a healthy baby can have one." Critics say the technique could be dangerous. They say it would open the door to the genetic modification of children and, quote, designer babies in the future. Okay, All right. What? Who can tell me what this idea is supposed to solve? What problem are they trying to solve doing this technique here?
Generally, in Europe, the older generation are high. So with this technique, they can reduce or they can increase the young people's generation.
Increase their generation?
I mean the children, the young children.
You mean have more babies?
Yes.
I don't. Okay, no. That's not what it said. Okay, somebody else try.
Stop diseases from mother to newborn, like a chondrial disease.
Yeah. Okay, Amparo. Yeah, that's right. Did somebody else want to say something?
I think that they want to talk. They are talking about one disease, a specific disease, and they try to avoid with two parents and remove with the DNA one part and substitute this part for another parent that they have. I think that is. But they are talking about one specific that I don't remember. What is the name?
Yeah.
One disease that I don't remember the name.
Yeah. The name is called mitochondrial disease. Did anybody understand how the disease, how the child gets the disease? Does it get it from the mom or the dad?
The man.
From the mom.
Right.
From the mom.
From the mother.
From the mother, yes.
They want removed from the biological mother and removed for the donation mother.
Does anybody remember the word for that third person, the mom that's going to give the other DNA? There's a specific word. Starts with a D.
Donate.
Donor.
Donor.
Yeah, there's a woman. She's the third parent kind of thing. So you have the regular mom and dad, the biological mom and dad, and then you have the woman who agrees to donate, and so therefore she becomes the donor mom, and she's giving a little bit of her DNA, and then the doctors, what are they doing with her DNA? Anybody understand that part?
They combine with the other DNA of the father and the other mother, the biological mother.
Right, and that's to avoid this particular disease, which is caused by some kind of genetic problem in from the mother. Okay, good. All right, so that's kind of the basic idea. Was this, do you think this is a controversial issue, or does everybody seem to agree?
I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Adrian. You can go.
Okay. I think it's a controversial thing because in the article said that this can open the door to design the children.
Yes, exactly.
Something like that, yeah.
Does anybody remember the term that they used in the very end? What it could open the door to?
Genetic modification.
Yeah.
Designer babies.
Yes, but you guys are both right. Genetic modification, which would lead to what people are calling designer babies. Like you could create the type of baby you want by manipulating the genes. That's kind of the idea. And some people are definitely opposed to that, which means they are against it. They think that humans are trying to play God. That's the idea where when they say playing God, you're creating human life. Okay, so that's for some people that's the critics. We say this critics say the technique could be dangerous, and that's what they're talking about. What's the opinion of Prime Minister David Cameron? Does he think it's a good idea or a bad idea?
A good idea.
What does he say about it? Do you remember?
There are a lot of families that now are going to be a health zone.
Right. So he said they're not playing God. We're just making sure that two parents who want a healthy baby can have one. There's this sentence here. I'm going to read it again, and then somebody can tell me what it means. lawmakers said the technique was light at the end of a dark tunnel for many families. What does it mean, light at the end of a dark tunnel?
A hope.
Hope.
A hope for some families.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. So when you're through a dark tunnel, the image is you're like, you can't see, there's no way out, oh no, I'm doomed, and then you see light. You're like, oh, there's hope, I can leave this dark tunnel. So yes, they're not doomed to have an unhealthy baby, they have the possibility or the hope of having a healthy baby. Does anybody remember the number? There are a couple of numbers here, but I'm looking for the number where it says these are incurable and affect about 1 in, and it was a certain number in the
0.1%.
No, that was about the DNA. That was about the DNA.
6,500.
6,500, that's the number I was thinking. So one in 6,500 children worldwide. So it's not the most common diseases, but it's pretty big. If you think of almost 8 billion people, 1 in 6,500 babies are born with this. Okay, let me give you guys the link, and I will read it one more time, a little bit quicker this time, and as you read along, you'll be able to follow along better and see the words. Okay, lawmakers in the UK have voted to allow doctors to create babies from the DNA of 3 different people. It will be the first country in the world to do this. There was a vote in Britain's Parliament where 382 lawmakers voted for allowing 3-person babies, and 128 voted against the idea. The idea behind 3-person babies is to stop diseases being passed from a mother to her newborn baby. So that's the problem they're trying to solve there. Doctors say that as many as 150 babies a year could be born using the new technique. The first baby to be born using the DNA from 3 people could be as early as next year. The technique will help families with mitochondrial diseases. These are incurable, so they can't cure them, and affect about 1 in 6,500 children worldwide. The technique is quite simple. It combines the DNA of the 2 parents with the DNA of another woman. Doctors replace the unhealthy disease-carrying DNA in the mother's egg with healthy DNA from the donor. The result is that the baby receives about 0.1% of its DNA from the donor woman. Lawmakers said the technique was light at the end of a dark tunnel for many families. Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron said, "We're not playing God here. We're just making sure that 2 parents who want a healthy baby can have one." Critics say the technique could be dangerous. They say it would open the door to the genetic modification of children and designer babies in the future. Okay, does anybody have concerns about this? Elena, from a philosophical point of view, what do you think about this idea of combining DNA from different people to create a baby that doesn't have a disease? Is that playing God?
No, I don't think so. I'm always amused about scientific developments. But that stuff of being gods, well, we have been saying that for years and years. After every new advantage, I think. So, well, I don't care about that. But I'm not sure about other aspects of the news. I can't understand why it's so important to have children. I can understand the psychological desire, but sometimes it's very difficult. But sometimes I think that society make us women to think that if we don't have a child, we are not true women. So we have to have a child at any price, even with expensive and sometimes dangerous treatments for the mother.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, I think it's great, and I always welcome this kind of advantages. But I don't know, there's something in it that I don't like too much. I don't know.
Kind of. Well, it seems like maybe the idea of accepting your fate or being able to change your fate. You know, like if you really, really want a baby, but you know you have this particular gene, that's kind of a new thing to be able to know even that you have some kind of DNA that would even cause a disease. So that's like before people didn't even know that, you know, like you would just have to do, you know, you get the baby you get, like Mother Nature or, you know, God or whoever you want to say creates this life, you know. But yeah, I think you bring up a really good point too. Many different things we could talk about on this issue. Women, yeah, some women, they have to have a baby to be seen as a, quote, real woman in this world, you know. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes these kind of treatments are very, very aggressive for the woman.
Yeah,
Not for the baby, but for the woman. And they can affect her health, and you know, it's like society say, "Oh, you have to be a mother, any price," and I don't know.
At any price, and it is pricey. I'm sure it's not cheap.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, definitely, these types of we call these interventions. So whenever you have some type of medical intervention, then it definitely costs a lot of money. Oh, Sergey, I was just going to ask you a question and it just dropped out. Okay. Does anybody else have a comment or a question about this particular article?
So I remember a move maybe a long time ago about the children's perfect. The name maybe is Kagata or Kataga. Kataga. Do you remember?
No.
Kataka.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, every baby is perfect.
Oh,
But just one man, it's not perfect because he was born in normal method.
Oh, and yeah, okay, yeah. How long ago was that movie?
The movie is 1997.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I think lots of like writers and filmmakers and stuff kind of explore this idea of what does it mean to kind of design life, you know, like try to make. I think there was a new one too with who was it? Johnny Depp? I don't remember. Anyways, I think there are, oh yeah, Gattaca. I think there were some new movies out recently that are talking about like cloning and things like this, and you know, we've talked about here also in my classes about artificial intelligence, and so it's always interesting. I mean, there's always people who want to have this type of exploration into what's possible, and like if it's possible, let's check it out, let's do it. And other people who are like, let's not play around with this type of stuff. This could be dangerous. So, yeah.
But for me, the idea, the principal idea is it's impossible to stop the scientific development.
Yeah.
If, for example, a person can't work in scientific development in your country, this person is going to go to another country.
Yes.
It's impossible to stop. Then the government should allow science to advance, but always under control.
Yeah, that's what we've read about, you know, with the new artificial intelligence, trying to have countries work together perhaps to regulate, you know, what can we do with this technology, how is it going to be used. You know, same thing happened like with, you know, creating nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs, things like that, the atomic bomb. and it's not always easy to have agreement about how to use these things. So that's the danger. But yeah, I mean, definitely interesting idea of having the DNA of 3 people in your body. You know, it's no longer just a man, one woman, but perhaps like it's a very small amount, I guess, 0.1%. But I wonder how that will affect, because it's similar. I've read about like when people have like a heart transplant or like a liver or kidney transplant, they take on some of the characteristics of the donor, the person that they got that heart from or something like that. So I wonder how this will affect the diversity of humans too. Could add more diversity even. I don't know. Okay, anybody else have anything to say, comments about this or questions? No? Okay. All right. Yeah, every day science is coming up with new stuff, so it's hard to keep track. I had never heard of this one at all. So, all right, let's see. I think we have time for at least one more. Let me read to you this one. The title of this one is Workaholic Fathers Leave Orphans. So, workaholic fathers leave orphans. All right. And that's in kind of a quote there. The head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, has issued a stern warning to fathers who work long hours. He criticized workaholic dads for being symbolically absent from their families and of effectively making their children orphans. The Pope was speaking to a congregation at the Vatican on Wednesday when he made his plea for fathers to spend more time with their children and get more involved in family life. He told worshippers that the absence of fathers in the family is one of the reasons that children experience problems growing up. He said fathers who focused too much on their jobs was one of the causes of deviances of children and adolescents. Pope Francis said this problem of fathers being obsessed with their jobs and not spending quality time with their family was particularly prevalent in Europe and North America. He said fathers are so focused on themselves, on their work, and at times their personal fulfillment that they even forget their families, leaving children and the young to their own devices. He said the feeling of orphanhood experienced by many young people is more profound than we might think. They are orphans in their families because their fathers are often absent from the home, but also, and above all, because when they are present, they do not act like fathers. He warned that fatherless families are being accepted as the norm. Okay, so the Pope is issuing a warning here, obviously to the Catholics, but maybe anybody else who wants to listen. Monica, what is the Pope telling the people?
Oh, he is telling that the father should spend more quality time in the family with their children, because the sense of the father affect the growing up of the children, and the father seems to be more concerned about their personal fulfillment, their personal that they dedicate too much time for their job instead to the family.
Yes.
And it is a problem that is most important in Europe and North America.
Exactly. Yeah. So he says that the dads are being symbolically absent from their families. What does he mean when he says symbolically absent? Anybody? If I use the word symbolically.
Maybe because he refers to the fact that even if the father is at home, he is not present, he is not there for their children, but maybe he's thinking of something else.
Yes, exactly. So symbolically absent. They're not really absent. They're there. They're not gone. They didn't leave the family or something. They're just working so much. So symbolically absent, not actually absent. Let's see, the word worshippers. He told worshippers. So who is he talking to? He told worshippers. Who are the worshippers?
The worshippers are the people that follow the Pope or follow the religion of the Pope, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. So the verb is to worship. So if you worship, you can worship, a religion. You can worship a god. You can worship, anybody really, or anything, nature or something like that. So he's talking to his worshipers or the Catholic religious worshipers. So specifically, I think the Pope generally speaks, especially if you say to the worshipers, it means to the people in the Catholic Church, the religion. So people who are Catholic. So he's trying to tell his worshipers, the Catholic people around the world, that the fathers, he's speaking specifically to the fathers. There's this sentence here. I want to read it again, and then somebody can tell me what it means. He said, fathers who focused too much on their jobs was one of the causes of deviances of children and adolescents. What does that word deviances mean? Anybody?
Different to the normal behavior? Somebody?
Yes, it comes from the verb to deviate, and when you deviate, it means you go off course. So if you're driving your car, for example, on the highway, and you deviate, you turn off somewhere, you go off onto another road. So in this case, the deviances of children and adolescents means when they go off track, we say, or they get in trouble, or they're having problems maybe at school or with friends or at home or something. The things that kids do that get them in trouble, those are the deviances. We talk about how kids deviate from not necessarily the norm, but just, normal child behavior if you're feeling good. So he's blaming, you could say, he's putting this on the shoulders of the fathers. Okay, let's see. Any other words here? I wanted to make sure you know. He says, the feeling of orphanhood experienced by many young people is more profound than we might think. What is he trying to tell us? More profound. What does that mean? Than we might think. Anybody?
More profound.
Yeah, more profound. What is he trying to say? The problem is more profound than we might think.
It's deepest.
Yeah, it goes deeper. So some people might think it's not that big of a deal. We say not that big of a problem, but he's trying to emphasize it is. Even if you don't think it is, it really is. It's a big problem. Children do not feel good. How many more important? Yeah, you could say that, but usually profound means deeper, more significant. Yeah, so more important. It's more important than you might think that the fathers are not there at home. So he warned. That fathers' families are being accepted as the norm. What does that mean? He warned that they're being accepted as the norm.
But people think that it's normal that fathers are absent nowadays, and they don't care too much about this problem.
Right, exactly. And this is interesting after we just read the other article, because we kind of know that that's true, right? Like, as humans evolve, some things are not normal. We don't consider them the norm. And then as we change and we evolve and we try new things, then it becomes the normal thing. But so he's trying to say, this is a warning. We don't want to accept this. So even though it might be accepted as the norm, if you're a good Catholic person, you wouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. So just like this DNA stuff right now doesn't seem to be the norm. It's very new. Who knows what it's going to be like in 50 or 100 years if it's just going to be what people do. It's going to be the new norm is what we call the new normal. Okay, let me put it up here, and I'll read it quickly one more time, and then we might have time for one more. And And if you guys want to comment on it, you can comment too. The head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, has issued a stern warning to fathers who work long hours. He criticized workaholic dads for being symbolically absent from their families and of effectively making their children orphans. The Pope was speaking to a congregation at the Vatican on Wednesday when he made his plea for fathers to spend more time with their children and get more involved in family life. He told worshippers that the absence of fathers in the family is one of the reasons that children experience problems growing up. He said fathers who focus too much on their jobs was one of the causes of deviances of children and adolescents. Adolescents would be like 12, 13-year-olds, 14, stuff like that. Pope Francis said this problem of fathers being obsessed with their jobs and not spending quality time with their family was particularly prevalent in Europe and North America. He said fathers are so focused on themselves, on their work, and at times their personal fulfillment that they even forget their families, leaving children and the young to their own devices. He added, the feeling of orphanhood experienced by many young people is more profound than we might think. They are orphans in their families because their fathers are often absent from the home, but also, and above all, because when they are present, they do not act like fathers. He warned that fatherless families are being accepted as the norm. Okay. Does anybody have a comment about that? Hamid, I was wondering if in the Muslim religion, are people talking about that at all as a problem as well?
Maybe some families can speak in each other, but for example, we don't have like a pope as a leader in our community. But if some families are worried for that, of course they can speak.
Yeah. Amparo, what do you think about in Ecuador and people in Ecuador? Is this happening? Do you see this as a problem?
Well, nowadays, because yes, most of the couples have to work, both of them.
Both. Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, that is a problem because adolescents are alone during the day or just with grandma or something, and sometimes they don't have many guidance during the day, and that is the problem. Then they just are afraid for the drug dealers or something, because they have a family, a relative that guide them. They are just living for themselves during the day. And when their parents arrive home, they are going to just to try to enjoy themselves in front of a TV or a video game or something, and they don't share too much with their children like before.
Yeah, yeah. Antonio, what do you think about this? Do you think that's true? That the fathers are too focused on themselves, their own fulfillment in their lives?
I think that depends on the family.
Sure.
And there are parents that is very focused on them, that go to the gym and prefer go to the gym that share time with his kids. But depend on the family. I know people as well in Spain that spend a lot of time with his sons, with the homework or doing the work home or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That depends on the family.
Yeah, sure. Definitely, I would say it's family by family, but apparently the Pope thinks it's happening more than it should be happening. So, yeah.
Maybe because now the situation, the kind of life, or the system of the society is different. People sometimes to pay the mortgage must to work, mother and parent at the same time, or no, maybe in full time the father must to work in the full time and part time the mother. I don't know, the mother.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think it's interesting. I don't know if in your countries it's a thing, but certainly in the United States, like maybe in the past, traditionally maybe the father was the person who went to work, the mother stayed home. And maybe you didn't think so much about the father. You thought more of the mother as being the caregiver and the nurturer and so important in a child's life. But I think a lot more awareness has come about that the father is also important in a child's life, especially a son, for example. And so that's become more important. And so I think even men didn't think they were so important in their children's life because the mom took care of the kids so much, and especially when the kid is young, they spend a lot of time with the mom. But as the kids get older, that's the idea of the children and adolescents. They oftentimes want and look for their fathers. So I don't know if that's something that is going on, but that gets talked about a lot here in the United States about the fathers being important. Like they need to be around. They don't just come home, put up their feet, have some whiskey, and read the paper. The children like for them to be interactive with them, and that they play an important role. I don't know. Elena, what about in Spain? In your experience, do you see fathers paying attention to children more or less, or
more nowadays? A lot more. I'm I'm quite sure of that. Of course, mothers here take more care of the children. We can see that at the schools when there's a meeting with the parents. The mothers are the ones that go most of the times, but not always.
Yeah.
But I don't like. I don't agree with that vision. Of course, it depends on the family, but I don't know. For example, the Pope talks about Europe and North America. I'm not sure if in other countries where people have to work 12 hours per day and they take care of their children better. So it's again, it's like we parents are guilty of all the disasters. And then, well, I don't see that in my work, for example, with the parents, especially with the mothers. They take a lot of care of the children, perhaps even too much. I don't know.
Perhaps. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's another good topic. We could keep talking about this. Certainly, why do some children have trouble and some don't? I mean, even some real orphans don't have as many problems as people with in a family that has a father and a mother there. So, yes, good, interesting things to talk about. But we don't have time, so I'm gonna finish this, and I have to start my next hour, which we're going to talk about banks and cyber security and stuff. So, thanks, guys, for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.